Hey everyone, welcome back to Stones Hill Homestead. If you're new here, I'm Kim, and today I am feeling a bit nostalgic, and so I'm making a couple recipes that remind me of my grandparents and my Aunt Linda. The first recipe I've already started, which you will see in this video at some point, and it is pork chops. And they're going to be fried and baked. And I used a marinade that I used leftover whey from when I made Greek yogurt on Friday. I drained my yogurt and I got that whey, and it's being used as a marinade. So we'll get to that next. But first, today I am making my Aunt Linda's Rhubarb Crunch. And she has passed away. She battled breast cancer, and in the end, she just left us, excuse my words, not finding them right this morning. She left us with some great memories and, of course, some great recipes. So we are going to start off honoring my Aunt Linda today. So we got our bowl. We need 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And they say to sift it. I just don't. I see no reason to, because I'm going to really mix it pretty heavily here. But if you want to sift your flour, you're welcome to. The next thing I need is 3/4 of a cup of oats. She never really said if it was rolled oats. Oops, got to get my label here. She never really said if it was rolled oats or quick oats. So today I am just using quick oats, and it shouldn't make a bit of difference. I'm thinking it'll be just fine. The next thing is 1 cup of brown sugar. And as you know, I make my own brown sugar, and I've already packed it. And so there's 2 different shades of brown sugar here, just because what I had left over was a little bit darker than what I just made. Pack that in there. I need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And before I add that butter that's coming, I want to give this a nice, good mix. I just want to mix all these things up together. Get any clumps out of there. And what this is going to do is make a nice base and topping, crumb topping for the rhubarb that I will be adding. Now I also need to make a rhubarb sauce, but it's more of a syrupy sauce, but we'll get to that. So I did mix these all up now, and you want to add a 1/2 cup of melted butter. And I'm just going to drizzle this as I mix. How many of you like rhubarb? I just absolutely love it. My husband's not fond of it. So when I can, I make it just a small batch for myself. And then, of course, I share it with friends, take it to work, and I use it that way since he doesn't much care for it. And last year, I put a bunch of rhubarb up in the freezer for myself. I also made rhubarb jam and rhubarb barbecue sauce, which ended up being one of our favorites. And actually, that's a whole different flavor profile. So he actually loves the rhubarb barbecue sauce, or should I say, he eats it. He just doesn't know it's made with rhubarb. I just use it on different dishes that we make. It's not that he's allergic. He just doesn't care for those big crunchy pieces of rhubarb, and he thinks it's a bit tart for him. He says it's like eating tree bark if people have it in a pie. And I tend to agree. If it's not the good rhubarb, I use Canadian red rhubarb. And that is my preference and that is what I grow in my garden. And now this is all crumbly. So I'm going to take half of this mixture and I'm going to put it in my 9x9 pan. And we're going to bring that over here. And I am going to put some olive oil in this. And we're going to mix up this topping and we are going to put half of it in to this pan. I want to make sure that I have enough for the bottom crust. And I want to mash it down nice here. And in good pantry challenge fashion, I'm using up things that need to be used up. The challenge is hosted by Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead. Looks like I need a little bit right over here to make sure I got a nice even crust. The next thing I'm going to do is add my 4 cups of diced rhubarb. This rhubarb is coming from my freezer and I, of course, vacuum packed it. And it was found in my freezer and I see the date is 2022, but it was perfectly fine. No freezer burn. And we are going to put this beautiful red rhubarb on top of this crust. And when I measure it, I do measure 4 cups. And we are going to spread that out here. And I did let this thaw out in the refrigerator overnight. Look how beautiful that looks. The next thing I need to do, we're going to shove this out of the way. The next thing I need to do is make my sauce. So my sauce will consist of 1 cup of sugar, and I'm using pure cane sugar. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 cup of water, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I also make my own vanilla. And that is a very easy recipe to do as well. It just has to set. So now that I have got this all ready to go, I'm going to take this to the stove and we are going to get this nice, clear, thick, and bubbly. And we are just continuing to stir to get this a nice syrup. It doesn't take long, but you do need to pay attention so that it doesn't scorch. You don't want to burn it. And it is starting to thicken up, and we want this into a clear gel. I'm going to turn the heat just down a little bit. I want it to get away from me. And it is starting to get clear. Starting to stick to the sides. It's going to be a little bit more tinged of a caramel color, and that is because I use pure cane sugar instead of white sugar. And you can see that that is really thickening up nicely. I believe this is ready to go. It is nice and clear. I know it's hard to see in this, but it is nice and clear. You can see the bottom of the pan. So we are going to head back over and get this added. And now we are going to add this over our rhubarb. And we want to make sure we get everything scraped out of the pan. Don't want to leave any of this goodness left over here. There we go. And I'm just going to make sure that that is covering all that rhubarb. I want all that rhubarb to get some of that sweetness that is going to be coming from that sugar in that syrup. And the last thing is I'm going to top it with our remainder of the crumb topping. I'm just going to pour that over there and get this spread out. And there it is. We are ready for the oven. We are going to bake this at 350 degrees for 1 hour. And we will be back when it is all done. And here is the rhubarb crisp. It is nice and bubbly. We're going to wait for this to cool, and then we will take a bite and see what we think. I'm going to dish out some of this and see what we think. I think this would be great with ice cream. Here we go. It is sweet but tart. It's got those crunchy bits on top. This is so delicious. Thanks, Aunt Linda, for sharing this recipe. We miss you.
Thanks everyone for joining, and as always, be blessed and laugh as much as you breathe. Have a great day, everyone.